All right. I am so excited to be here today, and I just want to share with you that I'm so honored to be here with the Guinness Book of World Record holder. Let's see here. Hang on one second. And Lorimor. And let's see, I'm trying to share my screen. And we're not happening.
I'm on gallery.
Oh, okay. There we go. There we go. Greetings and welcome everyone to another episode of Health, Wisdom, and Wealth TV. I'm VLYNN HAWKINS, your host, and I am here with the amazing Anne Lorimor. And she is amazing because of a few things, one of which is she's a Guinness Book of World Records holder. And she's in this conversation with me today about climbing for change for orphans, homeless, and foster kids. So let me just tell you a little bit about Anne because her amazingness will shine through as you see what she is all about. She's the founder of Lorimor Child Empowerment Foundation, doing business as Creating Exciting Futures. She's a Guinness World Record holder as the oldest person, the oldest woman and the oldest person to summit Mount Kilimanjaro. And just summiting Mount Kilimanjaro at a young age is an amazing feat. But think about it. She did it at age 89. And this woman is amazing as a teacher, mentor, wisdom giver, and she is climbing for a cause. And we're going to be talking about that a little today. So I want you to, without further ado, help me to welcome Anne Lorimor to the show. Hi, Anne.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be here.
Well, it is so great to have you here. And I am so excited because I happen to have the inside scoop about what it is that you're doing. But we're going to talk about how climbing Mount Kilimanjaro actually, at the age of 89, gave you the strength, the inspiration, the internal fortitude and power to climb for change and really coin this climb for change for orphans, homeless, and foster kids. And, to get us started, and just tell us a little bit about your journey, what got you started on this path, and why is it so important for you to climb for change for these disadvantaged youth?
I come from a family of philanthropists. My grandfather took in 5 orphans and brought them up when an orphanage had an interest in folded. And then my father and mother had an orphanage and a school in rural New Mexico. And as a very little girl, I used to help bathe and change and feed the babies and take them out for their sunbaths and all those kinds of things. And I loved climbing from the time I was just really small. And there I lived in 7,000 feet there in the wonderful mountains of northern New Mexico. And so the time came that I thought that I might be able to combine those two passions, my desire to help kids and the climb. And I thought get some attention and get some support for these kids. My whatever I have will go to my foundation when I leave this world, but I didn't want to wait till then, so I began starting to do what I could do now. And so far, one of the major things I've done is give the kids scholarship to CEO Space. That is a business mentoring and educational organization, and they have a wonderful week-long program for kids. And the kids come away with knowledge about networking, with a lifetime membership in the organization, with people that they stay in touch with a wonderful boost to their self-esteem. I love what I've done for these kids, and I want to do more of that in the future.
That is awesome. And I am so proud of you because, you know, it was like you lived this entire beautiful life doing this kind of work as you were growing up and all through, you know, your young adulthood, you raised children of your own. And the thing that really amazes me about you is you've just lived this caring attitude as a teacher and a nurse, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. And when did the vision of creating exciting futures come to you?
I've always wanted to help kids. And so some years ago, I formed a little organization that was under Arizona Community Foundation. It's under the umbrella of that, and did things for kids. But I felt that I could do more if I had more freedom in doing it. I used to serve dinners for the Salvation Army and other organizations that helped homeless or people that were down on their luck. And it's just something I want to do because I really go for the ones that I think are going to benefit by it. Everybody needs food and shelter, and that's not my thing. I'm going beyond that. I'm trying to give these kids knowledge of what their options are and what the life can bring to them so that they can live lives they love and then give back to others. And so far, I've had 10 kids go through that scholarship program. I have other things too that I do. We have had a youth Toastmasters program for the kids. And I've seen just wonderful progress from one that came in and he just could hardly hold his head up and say a minute. And at the end, he gave about a 3-minute speech, just as nonchalantly as you please. So no matter what you want to do in life, it helps if you're able to speak freely and easily and comfortably. And so that's just another one of the programs that we do. And I want to get the mentor program much greater. The kids come home all pepped up and revved up and just everything. And then they're going to fall if there's not somebody to give them a boost. And so that's the other thing that we're really working on, to get a mentor of their own, hopefully if they want careers in the field that they're going to be in. So there'll be a double help.
That is amazing. I have a heart for that myself. And I know that you have this philosophy around helping kids as not so much giving them a hand out, but rather a hand up. And yes, exactly. Even as adults, we need that hand up sometimes. But tell us a little bit about what really inspired you to start the foundation and how long has it been going, and just give us a little bit of history there.
I myself understand what it is to be down on your luck. There was a time during my childhood that we were homeless, and it was not a pleasant time. Going from a fairly solidly middle class to being homeless was not a good feeling. And I thought, so I can really understand these kids. And I myself didn't learn very much about networking. And yet, as I look back on something, my father did use the church as a sort of a networking when we did, and we got ourselves out of homelessness, partly by help from people that he found through the churches. And I just always felt that Thoreau's speech about is saying that people, the majority of men lead lives of quiet desperation. And I said, I don't want to see that. I believe that people should live happy lives and then share that happiness with other people and give back in every way they can. And actually, the foundation itself was only started in 2016, but it'd been much longer that I had the program under Arizona Community Foundation. But I just thought I could probably do more on my own. There were some things they said I couldn't do. And so I thought I want to do those. And it just is something that I see kids, and I read one time a psychologist, somebody asked him, why is it that some kids get out of the slums and some don't? And he said, Sometimes it takes only one caring adult. And so I thought we can provide those people.
I agree. And I think that that's important. And I love the way that you have approached all of this and created a conversation to be had that leads into the work that you're doing with your climbing. So tell us a little bit about your climbing and what got you to these major feats, because nobody just goes out and climbs Mount Kilimanjaro.
Well, I told you I loved climbing. I'm not a professional, but I've loved it from the time I was a little girl. And it just, nature speaks to me. And that was a really good thing. And then I learned about Kilimanjaro, the snows of Kilimanjaro, when I was in high school. And I thought, oh, wouldn't that be lovely? But it wasn't anything I planned. But then a few years back, my niece and nephew were going to climb Kilimanjaro. And so here I am, way up there. And I said, let me go with you. And they didn't laugh at me. He said, why not? So then in CEO space, there came along a man who's the oldest person to have climbed all of the 7 summits, the tallest mountain on each of the 7 continents. And he was taking someone. I thought, this is my chance. He could understand what older people will go through. So I got in touch with my niece and nephew, but they couldn't do it. One of them thought she would, but she didn't. So we went ahead and I climbed and was the oldest woman to summit Mount Kilimanjaro. 4 months later, a Russian woman climbed it, a little older than I was. So I said, I'm doing this again. And I set it for 2018 because I thought I will be the oldest then. But just a year before, a man came along and he did it just for fun. His daughter told him to do it. So he was a little older than I would have been if I'd done it that year. I said, I will put it off one more year. And I said to myself, it was the motto that I try to give to kids, where I say, when you found your focus, never ever quit, but pivot if necessary. So I pivoted, and I did manage to be the oldest woman, and as she said, the oldest person to do this. And I did it in order to get attention for the climb and to get kids the start that they need. And I really so believe in that. There we are.
Yes, and this is a picture of Anne doing just that, part of the crew. Let's see, on the right-hand side, or depending on how you're looking at it, there's Anne in the blue top, and in the other picture, where are you there in the other picture?
Right, the one in the sort of pink, right in the center, right up there with the hat on.
There you go, with the
That's
hat on. Beautiful.
And over to the right there, Lynn, is
Mhm.
the film crew, part of it, that's going to do the documentary, which should be coming out hopefully sometime this year.
That is amazing. And I know that with the film crew, you're planning to do another major climb sometime this year. Tell us a little bit about that.
I'm not sure that they're going with me on the major climb, but they will be coming here to the valley to see me climb some of the mountains around here, and some of them are well worth climbing and well worth photographing. They're going to interview some of the people that know me well and some of the people that were on the trip, so that it will be an interesting documentary that people will want to watch. And it will be available when I do lectures, which I'll hope to do as soon as the COVID lets up and we can start living our normal lives again. But I am planning to go for the cause to the Inca Trail down in Peru and be in Machu Picchu on my birthday. So.
Well, bless your heart. That is so awesome. I love that. And I just want to share this other picture because I'd love to get your insight on this as well. I enjoyed seeing this, and then putting your quote with it as well was just so enlightening for me, because this really is your message. And this was you up on Mount Kilimanjaro, just taking a moment to take things in, right?
We were sort of in the foothills. You can see Kilimanjaro there in the background. it's all part of Kilimanjaro, but the main part is there in the background. And you go
Gotcha.
through about, what is it? I think it's 5 climate zones getting up to the top of the mountain. So that was pretty exciting.
Wow. And this quote, when you were born with the ability to change someone's life, don't ever waste it. Don't ever quit. And I've seen instances where you've made mention of saying that to some of your kids, as well as, bringing that into conversations. Why is that so important to you?
I think that people should have a chance. When I was in grad school, I was the nanny for a professor. And then I'd go home during the Christmas vacation. And down the street from my mother was a whole family, a mother and a father and twin boys that lived in a house no bigger than the professor's living room. And they were bright little boys. And I just kept thinking, somebody's got to level this playing field.
Mm-mm.
And
Yes.
kids, so many of them feel, oh, my dad swept the streets. I guess I got to sweep the streets, and you've got to show them that what they want is available if they're willing to work for it and never ever quit, as I keep saying.
Yes.
Everybody doesn't want to go to college, and I'm all for supporting the ones who want a technical education, because we need those kinds of people. But even that will give them a great step up from simply being homeless or living in the slums and not having any chances at all. I want to see them have those chances. And I have seen, and I will see more.
I agree. And it's important for kids and young adults to know that there are options that are beyond what they may have seen or experienced. And so, really, kudos to you and honor to you for being a catalyst to help more of that happen. So, with that said, how do you do this, Anne? What do you eat on a regular basis that helps you to stay strong and keeps your mental acuity, and just what do you take into your body that nourishes you this way?
I try very hard to eat well. I do lots of fruits and veggies, and I have, as I got older, I had to take some supplements as well in order to keep my bones strong. Thinner people tend to have more trouble with brittle bones, and so I have to work at that. And I just really make sure that what I eat is good for me. And I did complain to my sister once that I said, if you listen to everybody, you couldn't eat anything. I think I've acted on that. So I try to be, I say, be moderate in what you're doing. And things like preservatives and processed sugar and things like that, I leave out. I don't drink coffee or tea, and I don't drink soda. So all of those things, it's no, I mean, it's no hardship for me to do that. But I do try then to be sure I get in lots of the things that are good for you. I eat prunes, and I eat figs, and I eat citrus fruit, and all the things that I think will help me. And I think if you can teach kids to eat well, they're going to like it. If they're brought up on all kind of sugary stuff, that's what they'll crave. But if you can get them to try the other for a while, it's amazing how your tastes can change. And of course, the other thing I think is so important is get enough exercise. I say to people, try to find something that you enjoy doing, because it's a lot easier. With me, I hike every day because I really, really enjoy it. When I was getting ready to go up Kilimanjaro the second time, I did have a trainer, and he had me use his machines. But I thought, if he starts me on jumping jacks, I'm going to run. Well, he didn't. So he gave me things that I like doing. And I tied it in with doing the hikes that I do every day. And I just think that if you feel well in your physical body, then your whole self is better. Your mind is better, and your soul is better, everything. And so I do encourage that. And at my age, you don't want to get unfit and then try to get it back. You better keep it up. So I do try to every single day. I do try to get out there and exercise, but things I thoroughly enjoy doing.
That's beautiful. And it shows, and it's important. I totally agree with you. And so do you really believe that, and you spoke to it, teaching kids the importance of eating well as they're, when they're young. Um, is there a part of what it is that you're doing for kids also teaching that? Like, do they get a piece of that as part of CEO space, or do you do something supplementing CEO space or other programs that you have actually address helping kids to understand the value of eating, like using food as medicine and just understanding the basics of good nourishment?
It's something I try to live and show. They'll notice that I'm not drinking sodas, and that I'm not eating a lot of cookies and things like that. Actually, that part of the program hasn't been worked out fully yet, but I'd like to. And I also like to share it with any mothers that want it, because some of them don't have any idea of good nutrition. And I was pretty lucky. My mother really cared about it. She grew up on a farm and she was used to lots of veggies and fruits and things of that sort. And she was always trying to see that we ate well, even though we didn't have much of a budget. She spent it on things that were good. I remember one time we were traveling and I saw a man with like about 8 kids, and they were all there with Cokes in their hands. And I thought, he doesn't have that much money, and that's not that good for them. So I wish, well, they'd be lucky if they had a mother like mine in terms of the food that she tried to serve us. And we learned to do it. And then my aunt was a nurse, and she came along and always tried to see that kids ate well. And it's just something that's been important to me all my life. And I really, really believe in it. And I think that the fact that I've eaten well and got exercise has helped keep my brain a little sharper. I do crossword puzzles, which they say are supposed to be good for you. And so all of your body needs to be helped in a way that you can be your very best. And that's what I want the kids to get. And some of them, it'll be kind of slow, but it will come.
You're right. It will come. And I think that you are a part of a network now that can help you in numerous ways to bring that about. And I am excited to be a part of that network and helping to get this message out. And I'm showing an image now. This is the one that we looked at of you actually um, gazing out into the what I can only imagine the beauty and majesty of God's green earth in that part of the world. But tell us a little bit about this picture that we're seeing in the middle.
That is one of my groups of scholars that went to CEO space. And we have them with their certificates at the end of the program. And if you go to my website, CEO space, I'm sorry, creatingexcitingfutures.org, they talk about their experience. And I think that people would find that interesting. And I just felt so good about them. The kid there in the back, he wants to be a chef, and he's cooked all his life since he was 6 years old. And I was able to introduce him to some of my friends and he wants to own his own restaurant someday. And I introduced him to some people who are chefs and some people who own restaurants. And we got to keep up his courage and help him with that. And I know that he'll end up doing what he wants to. When he was there at CEO Space, he and some other kids he met got together and brainstormed a fusion restaurant. And the person who helped me set up the organization was Creating Exciting Futures. She was there and she told them about grants that are available for essential services in poorer areas and slum areas and low income areas. And they didn't know about it. I didn't even know about it myself. So it was wonderful that we meet people that help us see there are ways to go. And that's one thing I do. I have a lot of contacts that are in the same kind of help I'm doing. One woman has something called Millet House, and she has a showroom for people who have artistic talents but don't have the ability to hire something to show. And people can try out and get in there. And there are other things. Somebody else has Rosie's House, which is music academy for children. And these kids are given free lessons and lent instruments to do things they could never do. And yet a lot of them go on. Some of them have gone on to teach in music schools, and some of them will be going on to, I hope, have their own music stores. And that's where the entrepreneurship will come in with to help them. There are just so many things that you can connect with them. And I know particularly people who help foster and orphan children. And I try to work with them and get recommendations from them for these kids that would benefit from the scholarships. And I hope as time goes on to get more of a foundation so that I can do college scholarships. And as I said, even scholarships to technical school, if that's what the kids are good at, is what they really want. I don't want them to think they have to settle for anything, but on the other hand, their own desires have to be taken into consideration if they're going to live the lives they love and then pay it forward.
Beautiful. Yes, you are so right. And I know that one of the ways that you are gaining more exposure in the marketplace and more support for the foundation is you are starting to write some of your stories. And this image in here, the Climbing for Change, 5 Keys to Overcoming Challenges on the Way to the Top. Tell us a little bit about that and what inspired you to write some of your stories. And here's the first publication.
I was actually taking a few notes and things along, going to do something, but I didn't go very far with it. And my daughter then got a subscription to something called Storyworth. And every week I write the question they ask me, or if I don't think it's good, or I think I've said it already, then I can choose something I want. And a lot of it does apply to the climbing for change. I feel that all my life I was climbing out of poverty, climbing out of ignorance, climbing from many places, as well as climbing this mountain to help change for other kids.
And tell us a little bit about the 5 changes. There are actually 5 things, 5 stories that you've told in the book. And I so enjoyed the stories. Tell us a little bit about why those stories were selected and what the overall theme is throughout that book.
The overall theme is climbing for change. We go back and look at some things in my life that sort of led me on the path that I'm on, that helped me get out of what I was actually doing. The stories are rather interesting because they took place back in an era that no longer exists. So I think it's interesting from people who like historical kinds of things, as well as people who like to see progress made so that other people may live lives that they love and are happy with. I have a different one every week, and I do not remember all of the ones that we chose. So if you give me a clue and I can talk a little more about them.
I would have to pull the book up, but great segue into inviting our viewers to get your copy of Anne's book. And we will be sharing that with you, as a matter of fact, on this page. And I'll share it in the group. But on the page where the image was a link. And that link will actually take you to the page where you can sign up and download the book for free. Anne's gift to you for sharing this time with us. And to the extent that you get something out of this book, I am certain that you will. So we'll actually make sure that that link is with this video at the bottom of this video, and you can even comment. Let us know how you loved the interview. And, you know, and as we're wrapping up today, is there some wisdom that you believe important to share that in this short time we have together that you want to make a bigger positive impact on our audience?
I think I'd say the same thing I usually do, that you want to keep yourself fit and healthy in mind, body, and spirit. Get very deeply involved in a cause greater than yourself. There are people there that you can help, and you'll be glad that you did. And then the final thing is what I keep saying: when you've found your focus, never, ever quit, but pivot if necessary. Live a great life.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Such great wisdom shared throughout our interview. And again, congratulations on being that Guinness World Record holder and doing it again sometime soon. Um, maybe there's someone who's watching who says, I want to go to Machu Picchu with Anne and either traverse the summit or just get into Machu Picchu. There's such a beautiful spiritual aura around Machu Picchu, and I wish you all the best. To our audience, we look to you to enjoy, not only enjoy this conversation, but also download Anne's book. Those stories are really amazing. One that comes to mind is just about the sense of responsibility that Anne took upon herself to help raise her younger siblings and the sibling, other children that were with her, and even at such a young age. Many families back in the day would not have survived if the older children didn't step up to play those roles. So, Anne, thank you on so many fronts for all that you've done, all that you are doing now, and the legacy that you are living to be able to help these kids and continue even
Thank you,
after.
Lynn.
Yes,
Let's tell them to go to creatingexcitingfutures.org. They'll find stories about Machu Picchu and a lot about what's happening, so they can learn like much more than we can tell
absolutely.
them.
Absolutely. And that is creatingexcitingfutures.org. And thank you once again. If you like this show, join us again next week when we have another amazing guest and we will be talking health, wisdom, and wealth, being in those powerful conversations for living your best life. I'm VLYNN Hawkins, your host. Thanks for joining us today, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.